All right, let's get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Molly Pereira. I'm the Associate Executive Director of the Colorado Dental Association, and we are so happy to announce a wellness program as a membership benefit for 2020. This is something that we will be offering to members every single month with a new topic. And our topic for January is the return on investment of a workplace wellness program and how to implement that in your office. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker tonight. Her name is Mariah Shimatsu. She works for, she's not only working for, but she is the owner of Movement First Wellness. I want to mention to you before we get started that this webinar is being recorded. Your lines are muted for the duration of the webinar. However, in your controls, you should be able to type questions as the webinar goes on. And at the very end, I will read those questions and we'll get answers to them from Mariah. So feel free to type questions. You don't have to wait until the end. As they come into your head, just write them down, and I'll turn it over to Mariah. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Molly, and thank you guys for having me. So we'll just get right into it. So a little bit about me is I am the owner of Movement First Wellness. I've been in the industry for more than 12 years and specialized in workplace wellness for more than 10. I have my degree in adult exercise science and nutrition and been certified as a personal trainer and worked with lots of different corporations throughout the Denver metro area. So let's get started with what is workplace wellness. Well, it's defined as an organized employer-sponsored program, and it's designed to support employees, sometimes their families, and help the employees be able to adapt and sustain behaviors. And so that could be a variety of different things, not just fitness and diet, which is some people lump that into wellness. And we're going to look at those different avenues that we could explore of workplace wellness in a little bit. So sometimes it's hard to define, does workplace wellness matter? It's a little bit of a gray area to put numbers to. I know a lot of finance people will argue that you can't actually say what the return on investment is, but there are some reputable sources that have given us some good data, like Kaiser Permanente has shown that employees with low levels of health engagement, it costs the company about 21%. US employers lose about $1,700 per employee in lost productivity. And the return of investment of a well-run comprehensive program is usually about 6 to 1. And we're going to look at later on what it requires to be a well-run program. So here's our different avenues of how you could invest or explore wellness. There's 8 different dimensions, and really and truly important would be to have multiple dimensions if you're going to implement this into your company. Not just focusing again on that physical side or the nutritional side, but looking at more of how do you support your employees in emotional, financial, intellectual, and improving their occupational desires. And so I like to always point out here, we want your wellness programs to be proactive instead of reactive. And so what I mean by that is a lot of companies will do biometric screenings and blood testing or flu shots, and I kind of lump those into being reactive protocols because they're going to treat the symptoms or rather than help you prevent them, and coming into that more of like, how are you looking at their stress management? How are you looking at their physical well-being? Are you giving them breaks? Are they balancing their work life? And so we really want to encourage you to be on the proactive side of it. You can also look at condition management as part of your wellness program, employee engagement, which could be a lot of different things. And the evidence suggests that you want to have multiple levels and it should be a part of your strategic operations. So do dental offices actually need workplace wellness? The answer is yes. Dental professionals struggle with the same wellness issues as everybody else, and sometimes even more. And what I mean by more is you guys work in very poor ergonomic setups, which cause a lot of health issues that sometimes just the average desk worker won't encounter. So do you suffer, or does your team suffer from any of these areas? Chronic neck and back pain, eye strain. I know wrists and hands can be a very pain point for the dentists themselves. Or if you look over at the dental office, do you struggle with high turnover, high absenteeism, or do you have poor return on investment of your staff and your engagements? So these are all areas that can be improved by implementing a workplace wellness program, and we'll kind of dive into each of those individual ones. So let's look at the indirect costs of not having a wellness program. So these are just some different areas that we pulled out. So the absenteeism is one that's huge. So again, that number is about $1,700 per employee you lose every year from them missing days due to sicknesses. You could also lose a significant amount of money due to new hire engagement or an office morale when you do lose an important key member of your team. So the stats show that for 3 months, you lose about approximately a quarter of that revenue that that employee was bringing in if you lose an important key member. The cost of turnover, so this is based off of an average salary of $45,000. If you were to lose them, you would also be losing $15,000 per employee due to that turnover cost and getting somebody up to speed to take their position, the morale that it could lose in the office. And so just different factors that go into these numbers. Productivity loss, so about $1,300 per employee per year is lost due to inproductivity. And so that one's kind of the big one when you look at presenteeism, so being at work when you're not physically actually working. So whether you're sick and you show up to work but you're not being productive, or whether you have a family issue going on, a financial issue going on, but you still show up, you actually are costing your office more than just taking that day off to recover. So there's two factors, and this is coming from the International Journal of Applied Dental Science, and it shows that these are the two leading causes for early retirement in the dentist. So this is looking at you yourself and preserving your career by implementing wellness to eliminate these factors or help reduce these factors. So if you look at musculoskeletal issues, a lot of dental practitioners are going to deal with at some point in their career, whether it be from school or whether when you're in the actual office, you're going to have pain. And a lot of people, for a lot of dentists, it comes into the back, the neck, and the hands. And so you can look at the individual numbers that they're claiming you guys have pain in. And 1/3 of you are actually going to have reoccurring or persistent episodes of this pain. And so it's not like it's a one-time issue in a 60-year career. This is something that once you get it, it's an ongoing issue. And I'm sure most of you guys can associate with that. The second leading factor of early retirement is cardiovascular disease. And there's many things that go into having cardiovascular disease. And I just outlined a couple of them that are more larger that have some numbers to them. So having high blood pressure can definitely be associated with cardiovascular disease, being obese or having high cholesterol. And so these things can be eliminated by implementing wellness into your life and into your dental teams. So other factors that we could look at when you're looking at an overall well-being of a person is, how stressed are they and how does stress play into their health? Are they burnt out? Are they suffering from depression? Or do they take care of themselves? I'm sure you guys as a service industry can relate to that of you are not first. You usually are, second, if not third, if you have a family at home. And so that lack of self-care can really start to add up and be a hinder to your profession. Preventative care. These are the tactics that you would take to eliminate those factors we just talked about: burnout, depression, self-care. So ways that you can take care of yourself in your individual jobs or for your team would be looking at the office ergonomics, looking at the dental setup when you're treating a patient, looking at your front desk setup, and keeping your bodies healthier so that you can continue to work longer. Another avenue would be through exercise. I'm sure you guys are all very aware of what exercise can do for your health and the longevity of your career and health. Stretching is a huge one, I think, for the dental profession, given the awkward positions you guys are in treating patients and working together. You guys could benefit from, in between every patient, implementing stretching routines and looking at how do we come out of these postures that we sit in so often. And then also diet and nutrition can definitely be a factor. And so that goes back into that self-care, taking care of you, taking care of your team, implementing tactics that can be shared. Here's some outline cost of what it would look like to have some of these self-care sessions. So chiropractor care, physical therapy, and massage would be huge when we're looking at those musculoskeletal issues. And as you can see, the average cost of these really isn't that high compared to, technically retiring 10 years early due to a musculoskeletal issue that puts you out for the long term. And that's kind of what we're going to look at next. So this is just a stat from my clinic, a physical therapy clinic called Central. And they're showing, for an average 10 visits to help you correct low back pain or neck pain or carpal tunnel syndrome, your average cost would be $1,000. And if you look at the average cost of going in and getting an MRI for those issues, if you don't treat them right away and you let them become aggressive, or if you actually had to have surgery, an average 2-night stay at a hospital, or look at the average cost of a year's supply of opioids if you're on pain medication because you are in pain while treating patients. So that self-care goes a long way to eliminating a lot of these costs for you guys. And for your team, if they're having these issues, then you as a employer are absorbing these costs. So the hard return on investment. So if you look at having a wellness program to not having a wellness program, the average healthcare costs for a company go up 1 to 3% per year if you have a well-run program compared to not having one, and they go up from 7 to 21%. You have decreased sick days by 80%. So the average employee is going to miss about 11 days of work per year. And if you have a wellness program, those days significantly decrease. 31% improved productivity and 3 times more creative. So having that energy at the office is going to help build morale, and having your employees be more productive than sitting in the chair while assisting you and yawning. So 37 cents on every dollar is lost due to a non-productive employee or a team member. High employee retention and loyalty. So I'm sure you all know having your key employees and having your key team is the best thing you can do for your office. When you lose a key member, your whole office probably crumbles for a little bit. And so being able to retain those employees and have those employees feel valued, you can't really put a dollar amount to that, but that's a significant return on an investment that you can get. And then increasing the team building and the company morale. The longer your team's together, the better the office is going to run and the better culture you guys are going to have. So what does it look like to have an effective workplace wellness? So I think we've kind of gone over and covered, that it's highly important for every industry, especially the dental industry, to have a workplace wellness program implemented, but it could be a loss of where do you start? And so that is a lot of what I help companies do. And so I always have 6 areas. We're going to look at each individual one. I call them the essential pillars of workplace wellness, and how we would structure this to be able to implement it into your office tomorrow if you wanted, and it be successful, because you can call yourself and say you have a workplace wellness program, and it could be very poorly implemented and you could get no return on investment out of it. So the first one is alignment. And so this is kind of going back to that, integrating it as part of your culture and having it as a strategic part of your operation. You really truly want your team to feel that you're implementing this for them and because you care about them and because you value them. And you want it to be aligned with you as the owner or the dentist or the head decision maker with what your purpose and aspirations for your office and your team are. And so you want to kind of create a mission statement around what that looks like, and so that everybody's on the same page with it. Next is scope and relevance and quality. And so this is, again, going back to that multi-level platform. So you want to have different avenues. You don't want to just focus on diet and exercise. Maybe that doesn't matter to a little bit more of your older employees, your baby boomers that are still in the office. They might be looking more at that disease management and how do I control my high blood pressure, because I am creeping up towards that cardiovascular disease and I don't want to end up in there. Or you could be looking at stress management. I think this day and age, there's a lot to say about stress management, how it's affecting us. I think the stats, like 73% of our youth population this day and age is on anxiety and depression medication due to stress. And that's not somewhere we want people to be. So looking at different tactics of how to manage our stress, or how to teach our team to manage stress, because we all go through those ups and downs of things get tough. And so how can we help them go through those times? Accessibility. So this is a huge one. So you really, if you're going to implement a program, you want it to be at low to no cost to your employees. You don't want to say, we're going to bring in this great wellness service and it's going to cost you guys an extra couple $100s a month, because that's not providing them, or not lowering their stress either. That's going to add to their plate. It should be true on-site integration. So you want to make it accessible for them to have as possible. You don't want to have something that's like, great, you're going to go to that gym or you're going to go to these classes and it's 20 minutes away from the office, then I expect you to also be back here. The convenience, going mobile, making it readily available. Looking at different partnerships. So who could you bring in if you aren't the wellness expert? Or what app could you get that the whole team gets involved in to help get on the same page? And so there's tons of platforms you can get this day and age to help this part. And so I just encourage you to make sure you're bringing in the right people, whether, maybe it's bringing in a massage therapist on site once a month to have massage for your team, or chiropractor adjustments, or it's bringing in that physical therapist who could do ergonomic setup for you, or a company like myself that has a very inclusive, and we offer a lot of those different aspects. And so there's just ways that you want to look outside the box of what you have in your tools and make it the best program you possibly could be. Communication. So wellness is not just a mission, it's a message. And how we're communicating that to our team and our staff and how we're getting them inspired and excited about it matters. And so if this is just something that you're like, it's on your internal communications, go check it out, that's not probably being proactive on it. You want to make sure you're touching in very multiple ways, and you're sending newsletters, you're putting it up on the office fridge, you're getting everybody involved in those stretching sessions in between patients, and you're just communicating it in many channels. So what are the outcomes? So we've gone over a ton of the outcomes when we look at, the return on investment, but I think the best one is that team building aspect, and that one of speaking to your employees that you really truly value them, and that you're creating this wellness program for opportunities for them to improve themselves. You're looking at that greater productivity. Are you going to be able to fit more patients into the day because everybody's just perky and they're on their A game, and you're able to, treat patients faster? Is it having a higher morale? So everybody in the office is has pride in your team and has a pride in what you do, and you're increasing the contribution to the organization and to ultimately your customers, your people that you're treating. So the outcomes of a dental practice having a wellness program, there's the 4 R's. So we've gone over all of these. You're going to have a higher chance of recruiting top key members of hygienists and assistants and office staff. You're going to be able to retain those key members way better. You're going to have a return on investment, and you're going to have a higher reputation. So when you're I'm losing my word for like the people that come in to be treated. When they come in to have their treatments done, they're gonna feel that pride that everybody has in the office, and they're gonna go out and start speaking how highly a dental office and practice you have, and that reputation of how good you are is gonna start to spread, and you're gonna have more referrals that way. So the outcome for the employees, so that was for the actual office and company side. Outcome for the employees is the 3 H's. So improved health, improved happiness, and improved harmony. What I mean by harmony is kind of more about work-life balance. I hate calling it balance because the reality is we don't really find balance. It ebbs and flows, and it's more of like a figure 8 and a little bit more of that harmony of when you are stressed, you're able to handle it, but when there's a downtime, you enjoy it. And so just kind of that coming and going of work life. So the question really is, how can you not afford a wellness plan for the office? I think it's pretty obvious that everybody could benefit from one avenue or another. And so just looking at you and your team and where it fits the best and what to implement first is a better question. Do you have a question?
There are a few questions that have come in.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, if I don't own my own practice, how can I implement a wellness program if I don't control the budget?
That is a fantastic question. So my best advice would be going to probably an office manager who is going to have a say, and voicing to them that you do want to have a wellness program implemented. Can that be brought up in the next staff meeting or budget meeting? Looking at implementing it in a small level, the office manager could probably bring it in for like office appreciation day, staff appreciation day. So there's ways to start to implement it if you aren't the decision maker, or encourage your team to be implementing it and then build from there.
The next question is, which is kind of along the same lines, if if we don't have the funds to do an office wellness program like you're describing, what are some free things we can do to get started down this path in the meantime?
I love that question. So yeah, not everybody does have the, you want to look at things that you can get your whole team involved in. Two aspects that are completely free that make a huge impact on health is water and walking. So just simply encouraging the staff to increase their water intake to that, the suggested amount is half your body weight in water in ounces a day. Think of how many times that you as a practitioner are you taking water breaks? Are you consuming that? And that can help improve so many aspects of health. And then getting out and walking. Walking is huge to lowering cardiovascular disease. It's huge to getting out of those poor postures that you're working in, and stretching. So those are all free tools. And you can always have somebody come in and teach you what are the best stretching techniques. And then you as a staff implement that of, okay, every day at, 11 and 2 are our stretching breaks. And we take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whoever's not working on a patient, and we stretch, and it's two simple exercises, two simple stretches. So it's kind of taking, what does seem like a big gray hairy thing and breaking it down, chunking it down just like any other goal you would, into where do we start.
Perfect. Do companies typically implement well-being programs for staff recruiting and retaining talent, or do they typically do so to reduce sick days and improve productivity?
um, I think it goes both ways. I think a lot of companies actually implement it first for the first mention of recruitment and retaining talent. And then on the backside, after it's been implemented on a while, start to see the benefit of it. It does decrease in sickness, and you employees are healthier and happier, and you're starting to see those other benefits. So again, by implementing a wellness program, it's not going to just happen overnight. You're not going to turn around tomorrow and there's that return on investment and your employees are just magically better, and everybody's happier. It takes time. And so, if you've ever been on a wellness journey yourself and you say, okay, I want to, set out to achieve this goal, it does not happen overnight. So the same is with the wellness program. You implement it, and over time, these factors accumulate.
And taking all that into account, why would a wellness program fail? What would be something that wouldn't be done quite right that would cause a failure of a program that had best intentions?
That's a good question. So there's multiple reasons why a program would fail. One would be if you're implementing it and truly you're not believing in it. So let's say you are the dentist who owns the practice and you're like, okay, I feel like my staff would love a wellness program, so I'm going to implement it because I want them to have that availability. But I don't buy into this. It's not going to work. I'm not going to see a benefit from this. The morale's not going to go up. My team's not going to be more productive. They're not going to be sick less. That's going to make it fail from the get-go. So you have to have, from the top down, everybody has to be on board. Because if you buy into it and you say, I as a dentist, I'm getting on board, or I as the owner of the company am getting on board, and you truly take the steps and the actions and they start to see the benefit you're getting, your team's going to buy into it more. You are the leader. And so that's a big one that I see, especially in not like dental operations, but large corporations where maybe the CEO is not accessible and he's, never in the office and people don't see him preaching what he's wanting them to do. It falls apart from the get-go. The other way it would fail would be not having those multi-levels. So again, let's say you're just implementing, okay, everybody's going on this 8-week diet and this is what we're doing. Well, maybe I don't want to go on a diet. Maybe I don't need to go on a diet. And so if you're just looking at it from one avenue, then that's not going to help your team grow. So you want to look at it, okay, take stress management, for example. You can look at stress management and you can say, I'm going to implement a workout and that's going to help lower stress and improve mood. Or you could say from a stress management standpoint, everybody's going to take an extra afternoon off because we've been working really hard. You could implement a financial program to help and teach them how to manage finances, which could hugely reduce stress. So there's just multiple ways to look at one health aspect, and how could you touch on that? How can you look at self-care in a stress reduction management way? Is that getting a massage? Is that taking a, a 10-second break to have a breathing practice during each patient? Is that taking your stretching? Because that's self-care. So looking at all those different 8 dimensions and implementing some from every angle is going to be one of the biggest reasons it will succeed. Or if you don't do that, why it would fail.
Should the dentist survey their staff to find out their needs and wants before starting a program?
Absolutely, I highly encourage that. So when we as Movement First Wellness go in and work with companies, that's the first thing we do is we give them our survey, which we call our wellness score, and we kind of assess, what do you already have and what are you implementing well already, and where could we go from here, and what is your employees and your staff looking for? Because if you survey your employees and your team, then you're going to find out what areas of those 8 different factors you could start to implement that would make the biggest impact right away for them.
How do I implement a program if we have no time in our day? People take different lunch hours, they come in at different times and leave at different times. How do I make this a team effort?
That is a good question, and probably one of the hardest aspects to actually get around is, yes, we are busy and the time is limited. There's only 24 hours in the day. So you could do things like implementing like a newsletter system for the team. And so people are going to read that information and absorb that information and be able to implement it on their own time. You could still have things, somebody come in and say, it's Staff Appreciation Day, we're bringing a massage therapist in for the day, and have the staff scheduled out where, one person is treating, but the other person's getting their 10-minute massage. And so there's ways to work around that. Still, even if you can't get everybody at the exact same point in time on board, creating things like the stretch, having stretch breaks or having a walk break, whoever is available, it's going to be different on every given day, but they're still going to get involved. And you might actually find it helps build your morale because maybe 2 hygienists really click and they do, so talk a little bit more, communicate a little bit more. And let's say they go on their walking break, but it's never together. So now they're starting to have to communicate with a different team member. They're starting to have to communicate with the office staff. And so it's a great way to do team building. And it's okay if not everybody every single day can be involved. You're still going to make a big difference.
What do you recommend is the best way to handle a situation if some team members want to be a part of a wellness program and some don't want anything to do with it?
Yeah, so there's some numbers out there that kind of show, a good percentage of participation. And the rule of thumb is if you can get 30 to 40%, which I know doesn't seem like a lot of office staff to participate, if you're not providing incentives, that's a good number to base it off of. If you are providing incentives, the number usually jumps up to closer to 60%. And if you're providing a penalty, it's actually usually 75 to 90% participation engagement. So those are ways that you could say, okay, I'm going to, offer incentives and try to encourage those employees that aren't getting involved to get involved by, if you participate, you get points. And if for every month, the highest point gets an extra day off or gets an hour massage bought for them or gets a, $50 card to Whole Foods, or you could provide a plan and a platform that kind of helps encourage participation. And you can also kind of just meet them where they are. So it's pretty typical that there's always going to be somebody that's just kind of like, it's not for me. But I think the more as they sit back and they watch other people and them grow and grow in their health and their wellness, they may become intrigued. And so it's not doing them any good if just because they don't want it, you say, okay, then it's not for the whole office. But implementing it anyways, they may get on board eventually.
And this one is, if the dentist isn't the ideal leader for this program, would the program fail?
I don't think it would necessarily fail. I mean, you do want them to be on board and you do want them to believe in what you're going to implement, but they don't have to be the main person to implement it. The office staff is probably a better team if you have an office manager or a great head desk person, because they're going to have a little bit more time to implement that stuff and maybe, put up some flyers around the office, again, have that little, this is what we're doing this week on the the office fridge. The dentist is busy, and as a business owner, especially if they are a business owner, they have multiple hats they're wearing. They're busy thinking of everything else and how to keep the company going. But you do want them to say, absolutely, I support this program, and when I can, I am going to get involved.
And what are some examples of challenges for both a small office and challenges for a larger office?
That's a good question. So again, you can keep it super simple, and you could start with just water of, okay, we're tracking water, and if you reach your certain amount, so let's say you're 150 pounds, so your ideal amount would be 75 ounces of water, then you get a point. And if you get 15 points, we're going to go, give you a $15 card to Starbucks. If you reach 30 points, and so you put a time frame on it. Usually challenges go 4 weeks, 6 weeks, or 8 weeks. I tend to not do too many 12-week challenges. They tend to be a little bit long, but you could implement a 12-week program. And you just you set up a common goal. I usually try not to get too many in there. So I say either 1 to 3. So whether it's like we're looking at water, we're looking at steps taken, and we're looking at, how many fruits and vegetables did you eat in the day? And if you set a number for each of them, your half your body weight in ounces, 10,000 steps, and the recommended vegetable and fruit intake for the day would be actually 10 to 12 servings, which is a lot. So maybe let's cut that down to 8. If you eat 8 vegetables and fruit in the day, you get points for all of those. And then you create a point system. So that's the basics way. You can get super fancy and implement platforms and tracking systems, and you can, go to the extent of workout classes. But if you want to keep it simple, keep it simple.
And I'm just reading this last one. How long does a wellness program last?
So again, a wellness program isn't something you're going to implement and get results overnight. So I would highly encourage you to look at it as a long-term goal and kind of set those barriers. I know, if you're setting up like a company, you're going to look at, what's our 1-year goal, what's our 5-year goal, what's our 10-year goal. So you could take the wellness program in the same sense. I wouldn't maybe push it out to 10 years, but what is our 6-month goal? What's our 12-month goal? What is our 2-year goal with this? What is our 3-year goal with this? How are we going to measure the success that we see out of this program? Is it in 3 years we've only lost 1 staff member? That's probably that's probably adding a lot of value to your dental team. And so it's just, you got to kind of look down the road and in the future, start with 6-12 months. But if you don't think it's working at the end of that, I would highly encourage not throwing in the towel, but looking at changing some things and looking at how you can improve it.
Perfect. Are there any other questions that Mariah can answer? Nice to see so many interesting perspectives come up.
Yes, those are great questions.
I wanted to, to echo what Mariah has been talking about. The reason we're doing this is because the reason the CDA is doing this is because there's so many programs out there for dentists who are struggling maybe with substance, maybe with something more serious. And we want to be a part of a movement that can help that can help dentists before that stage happens and can help dental offices before that stage happens. So the CDA is really striving to offer a benefit this year where dentists can manage stress, can offer resources to their teams, can learn how to decrease the possibility of disability or early retirement. There are things that we want to do that can improve lifestyle if implemented. And throughout this entire year and process, we really encourage any feedback that any member offices have, because we are committed to making this something more permanent at the CDA and making sure that members have options and know that everything that you're feeling stress-wise and being overwhelmed and everything with your everyday, you're probably not the only office out there, and there are plenty of people in the exact same boat. Mariah just put up a slide, our February program, so that is just a few short days away. We'll be focused on ergonomics, which is a huge subject for the dental profession. And Mariah, do you want to talk about what we'll cover next month?
Yeah, so we'll be doing some short videos on how you can better position yourself when treating patients from an ergonomic standpoint, and how you can reposition some of your tools in your setup to be a little bit more accessible, to put you in better posture, to eliminate some of those aches and pains on the musculoskeletal side. We'll also be putting out some short videos on like some of the stretching and some of, we're going to do like a little short video on yoga in your chair that you can perform. So we're going to start to give you guys some of these tools. So if you want to implement this into your team, you'll have some place to start. I truly believe ergonomics is probably the most important for you as a dental professional, and so this is where we're starting. And then you guys can just kind of follow along. The CDA is also going to be doing their own 8-week wellness program with me and my company. And so we're going to be going through some different avenues of health and wellness with them. And they're going to be posting that on their Wellness Wednesdays and on their, I believe, Facebook page and website as well. So you guys will kind of get to learn as they go through their journey too. Because again, like Molly was saying, you know, they want to help you guys as a dental professional, but they also want to help improve themselves. And so they're taking that first stand and they're saying they're going to do an 8-week challenge with us so that you guys can follow along and kind of see how it works.
Perfect. Well, if there's no other questions, thank you so much, Mariah, for giving us your expertise and time. And again, if you have any questions at all, you are welcome to contact Mariah. You're welcome to contact the CDA and talk to Erica Carvin or myself about the wellness program and what we're offering. And we really appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you guys so much.